Hello and welcome to my home. Today I'm going to talk to you about transplanting some of those seedlings that you had indoors growing. Now I had some collard greens, some turnip greens, and spinach that I started indoors. If you followed me on my earlier videos, you saw how I did that. But now they've gotten to the point where they're big enough and the weather is so beautiful. Today is a couple of days after the first day of spring. These types of vegetation, the collards, the turnips, and the spinach are what you call early spring crops. So you can plant them out as long as the temperature that is in your area is around 60 to 70 degrees during the day, and it's not dipping too low in the evenings, around 50 degrees or so in the evenings, and they should be fine. So I'm going to transplant them. I'm going to show you the soil that I use and the fertilizer. But before we get to that, I want to let you know that I also have other types of videos on my channel. I have easy to cook recipes, I have product reviews, and of course I have other videos on planting and containers. So I do strictly container gardening, and so whether you have one container or 50 containers, I'd like you to come along on this journey with me and get some fresh vegetables growing for you and your family. I also have some meditation videos. So let's go ahead and look at the soil. The soil that I'm using is, I have a potting mix, and the potting mix brand that I'm using is Miracle-Gro, and it's important that when you're doing container gardening to do potting mix. Now I do add some topsoil, which is this bag right here, only to add some additional organic matter. So I'm going to do a combination and have potting mix mixed with a little topsoil, and then I'll put my fertilizer in there. And the fertilizer that I use is called Dr. Earth's Homegrown, Organic, and Natural. I think this is a good all-around fertilizer. You can use it in all your vegetables, and I like that, so I don't have to keep having a different brand for different types of vegetables. So I use that. I also have some water-soluble fertilizer, and this is Miracle-Gro singles. You put it in your watering can. It dissolves in water, and this is water-soluble. Now that Dr. Earth, that is one that is solid, and it's like in little pellets, and that will feed the vegetables all during the growing season. You will have to replenish it every so often, but that's how that looks. I use Perlite. The brand I'm using is Miracle-Gro, and the Perlite helps make the soil nice and loose, so when you're growing bulbs like turnips and onions, it ensures they have enough room to form. Here's the spinach that I was growing inside. What I like to do is to wet the soil first to help loosen up all the the seedlings, so I don't damage the roots. So let me go ahead and water those a little bit more and get my gloves on. I'm going to put the spinach in this long pot. I'll give you the measurements. A regular long pot, not especially deep, but good enough for the spinach, and it has drain holes in the bottom. And that's important because you don't want any of your plant's roots to be waterlogged. Drainage is always a good thing. Now I had some soil left over from my fall garden, and you can reuse that soil. It's not a problem. And it's just some potting mix. That's all. So I'm going to put that in the bottom. I'm going to put it up about 1/3 of the way. Let's see, let's give you a better shot. And I got some newspaper trying to keep the deck a little cleaner, but you still will have to sweep. Oh, I will have to sweep because we're gardening, and gardening is a dirty job, but it's so worth it. It feels really good out here. Okay. And I'm doing this because the bottom soil I'm putting here from last season, it's replenished, or what some people call amended, by putting some of that Dr. Earth in there. I'm just taking a handful, and I'm just going to mix it in. Now I'm going to get some fresh soil, and I'm going to get some soil and the potting mix and the topsoil, mix it together and put it in here. And this round empty pot is what I'm going to mix the potting mix and the topsoil in, and then take it over and put it into my actual pot I'm going to plant the spinach in. So here we go. Now this potting mix has gotten a little dry from last year, but it's still okay. I should have put some newspaper down over here too, but we're going for it now. So like I said, I put a 2-to-1 ratio. Just put the topsoil in here. Now this topsoil, if you notice, can you see it? Let me put it over here. It's much heavier because it's not lightened up like that potting soil is. The potting soil has other materials in it to make it lighter. So I'm putting that in here. And also the thing about topsoil is that it has more twigs in there. And now I'm just going to mix it all up. That's all you're going to do. Mix it up. Just like that. And now I'm going to mix in some fertilizer. I just use the old handful method. And mind you that the potting mix that I'm using also has fertilizer in there as well. And then I just layer it in. Just put it on in. And you're just going to spread it just up and down, get it in there. Oops, I spilled some. Okay. Now I like to water it in. Now I'm going to separate out my spinach. These have been growing indoors, and I'm very excited about them. And you're just going to try to find a trowel that has a pointy end to it, because you can lift down easier and pull it up. See how that came up? Okay. And you're just going to separate, take as much of the soil as you can, and you're just going to put it in the ground, just like that. And these are a little bit on the leggy side, so I'm going to bury them in kind of deeply. And just put the soil gently around it, just like that, just like that. Now spinach is a cool weather crop, and you're going to get your harvest before the real heat of the summer comes in. There. Okay, got my spinach done. For the collard greens, I'm going to use this wide mouth pot that I have. It's made out of one of those cloth, canvas cloth parts that I'm going to use. And it has soil that I left in there from last time. So, what I'm going to do for this one is, I'm going to add some of my Dr. Earth organic fertilizer. And now, I'm going to top it off with some fresh potting mix. I'll be right back. Okay, here's my fresh potting mix. Now, doing the soil this way, saving the old soil and amending it with new soil, it saves you money. You don't want to have to buy all new potting mix every year. That would be like an astronomical amount of money. I'm just going to put another little handful on this top layer. That would be too much money. But this way, you get to grow and save money and have fresh vegetables. I mean, that's a winner right there. So I'm going to water the soil in again. Sorry for the noise. Here's the collard greens. I'm going to wet them so I can pull them out. And we're going to do basically the same thing. We're going to make little pockets for them. There you have it. I'm going to go ahead and finish transplanting a few other plants that I have. But if you found this helpful, hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel by hitting subscribe and that notification bell so you'll know when I have released another video. Well, that's it for now. Bye-bye.